Okay. The claim I'm refuting is that nuclear power is clean, safe, and cost-effective. And his first claim was, secondary claim was that nuclear energy is clean. Well, it's not exactly a clean process because mining and purifying uranium is really hard to do, and there's always radioactive waste, and it's about 20 metric tons of radioactive waste yearly per plant, so that's about 2,000 metric tons for all of the plants yearly. And they use water to cool down the plants, so it just goes in from the ocean and straight out. So it alters the ecosystem and pollutes the ecosystem, and it causes two layers of water, hot and cold, which causes oxygen deprivation, so a lot of the organisms that live in that ecosystem will die. His secondary claim was that nuclear energy is safe, and as I said before, that it generates a lot of radioactive waste, and it takes about tens of thousands of years to decay to a safe level. And for example, Yucca Mountain, it's just filled with nuclear waste. And he also said that even that the dangerous materials are kept in safe containment, but what he didn't know that was that it corrodes the concrete that it's contained in, and it just leaks out and pollutes everything. And also, nuclear power plants are a huge target for terrorist attacks, which we are kind of experiencing at the moment. And his third secondary claim was that nuclear energy is cost effective, but the power plant's waste has to be maintained, monitored, and guarded, so that takes a lot of money and effort to do. And uranium is a scarce resource, so it only will last about 30 to 60 years before we run out completely. And it takes about $6,000 a kilowatt of generating capacity to build a plant, and that takes about 20 to 30 years to plan out and actually build. And for example, there are 2 new reactors that are being planned for southeast Florida, and they're costing about $6 billion to $9 billion. So that is why nuclear power is not a clean, safe, and cost-effective method of producing energy.
All right, you labeled the claims very clearly. Each point you go to in order, so the transitions in the organization is fine. You had counterclaims on the first point about how much waste there is. I don't get a source citation on that. About water contamination, hot and cold water apparently having some damage on the ecosystem. I don't get any source citation on that. And there's no quantification of what the impact of either of those points is. So, the fish have to move upstream, or we have to close up an extra half a mile of the mountain that we're burying the waste in. I don't know. You don't really give us any impact argument on that particular point. On the clean argument, it's the waste again. It's not clear if it's the same kind of waste that you were talking about before. You mentioned leakage in the containers, the concrete containers, but you don't give us a source citation on that. And what's the danger of that leakage? You don't give us an argument based on that. There's no analysis of the advocate's evidence or reasoning on this particular point. So basically what we've got is counterclaims without any any grounds on them. And then on the third, there's also a terror argument, same kind of thing. And then on the third point, there's a mention that the uranium that's necessary is a scarce resource. And the degree of scarcity, I imagine, depends on how quickly we're using it. Again, I think you need some data on that, and that would show, for instance, that it's not really an effective alternative. I did think that you had a couple of examples and a cost estimate on the 2 plants that are going up, but again, I assume that you got that information from someplace, but you ought to make sure that you cite it in the presentation. Thank you.